Land. This is the study session for August 19th, and so we will have our comprehensive plan update. All right? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So we're gonna go over four chapters.
You just state your name and address
Oh,
again,
sorry.
just because we got Facebook
Yeah,
folks.
my name is Eric Carrier, and I'm a planner from the Lower Savannah Council of Government. We're going over the 5-year update to North Augusta's comprehensive plan. We're going to be going over four elements tonight: the economic development section, community services, the downtown and riverfront section, and transportation. So for economic development, one major aspect of that is employment and jobs in the city of North Augusta. The map that you can see on the left shows the job density in North Augusta. So the darker purple areas are where there's a higher concentration of employers. And you can see that spread out for the most part. The highest density is in the northern tip of the city limits over there on the Edgefield border and throughout downtown and close to the riverfront. And the map, and all this comes from the census. This is data from the census. The map on the right shows how jobs are distributed in terms of citizens working in the city limits and residents working outside of the city limits. So 6,265 citizens are coming from outside. Non-residents of North Augusta are coming in to work in North Augusta. And 8,715 citizens work outside of the city of North Augusta. So most of the people that live in North Augusta work outside of North Augusta. Only 948 people, this was from 2018, only 948 people who live in North Augusta actually work in North Augusta. So this is a chart that shows where the residents are working. So you can see there was a significant increase in agriculture, forestry jobs, transportation, warehousing, utilities, information technology, finance, insurance, and real estate. There was decreases in construction as well as wholesale trade. And this comes from the American Community Survey from 2019. So this is a list of the North Augusta industries. So these are the industries that are located, the various types of industries located in the city limits, and how employment for those industries has changed from 2010 to 2018. There's a significant decrease in agriculture and forestry related jobs, a large decrease in information jobs, and as well as other services. The increases were primarily in construction and manufacturing, as well as retail, and real estate was something that jumped up significantly, as well as finance and insurance. And public administration jobs also doubled over the past 8 years. In terms of North Augusta's distribution of jobs, they're pretty much similar to the rest of the surrounding area. The Augusta MSA and the state as a whole are pretty similar in terms of job distribution. Yeah, you're good. So that's pretty much as there was with regards to updates to the plan, because we're just kind of reviewing the data and stuff and comparing that to what it was in 2017 and providing an update on that. The community facilities section is the next one. This is just a chapter that outlines all of the city's facilities and services, the different departments and what they do. That didn't really change too much from what it was in 2017. So that chapter pretty much just gives an outline of all the different departments and their roles for the city. So for transportation, the city has, and just outside the city limits, have a lot going on in terms of transportation. Arts is the MPO that works on behalf of the city to do their transportation planning. Arts is the Augusta Regional Transportation Study. So they correspond the sort of Augusta MSA area, Columbia County, Augusta, Richmond County, Aiken County, Edgefield, and Burke. You can see on that map there, these are all of the transportation projects that are outlined in the 2021 TIP. The TIP is it's a transportation improvement program, and the FHWA, the Federal Highway Administration, they provide funding which goes to the state SCDOT, and then SCDOT distributes that money to the MPOs and COGs throughout the state of South Carolina. And so each of these COGs and MPOs have to come up with a TIP, which is it's a direct product from their long-range transportation plan. So the MPOs and COGs will develop a long-range transportation plan that identifies what transportation projects are needed in their areas, and they rank those projects. And based on those rankings, they come up with projects that are actually going to receive the funding. And so the TIP is the list of projects that are actually receiving funding. There's full funding for these projects. And so the projects that you can see on this map here are the projects that are going to be funded and should at least begin between 2021 and 2027. The different colors there you can see represent the different types of transportation improvement projects they are. And if you go to the next slide, there's a list of all of these projects and how much they cost. So the project title along with the project description as well as the total project cost. And as you can see, these projects are very expensive. The 13th Street Bridge is the most expensive project on there. That's actually being funded by the Georgia side. So South Carolina side that's not coming out of their transportation improvement program money. That's coming out of the Georgia sides. They have their own separate funding that they use, and that'll be a bridge. They're redoing the bridge, making some aesthetic improvements and structural improvements, as well as creating an opportunity for individuals who are walking and riding bikes to have connectivity to and from North Augusta from Augusta. And so that'll be a nice addition for the city of North Augusta as well to help those people who maybe don't have a car, improves multimodal transportation for the region. There's also a bike path that's going to be running from Aiken to North Augusta to help improve with connectivity between those two areas for individuals who might not be able to drive a car. There's also some sidewalk improvements going in on Knobcone Avenue, and that's coming from that, and the extension on the Greenway is coming from TAP projects. TAP projects are Transportation Alternative Program. That's money specifically to be used for multimodal transportation, stuff like pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure. So that money is strictly for that, to improve connectivity. And one of the main reasons they're doing that is because there are a lot of deaths from pedestrians being hit by cars. So 15% of all fatalities in the state of South Carolina come from pedestrian collisions, and another 3% come from bicyclists being hit by cars. And so a big effort right now by SCDOT is to improve the infrastructure and to put infrastructure in place that isn't there to try to mitigate some of that, because right now South Carolina has the highest number of traffic fatalities in the entire United States. Yeah, so.
Do you know if in the places in the communities like Hilton Head where they've implemented bike lanes that those rates are lower? Is that you just off the top? Just wondering.
The traffic fatality rates are lower. It's complicated because you have to take into consideration traffic counts. So how many cars are coming through the area, the type of pedestrian infrastructure that's in place. But one of the things that you have to have that SCDOT doesn't have, because I've asked them about this, is pedestrian counts. So it's hard to get a really good understanding of how effective the, sidewalks and stuff like that are, because you don't know how many people actually come through there. So to get an understanding, like for example, you might have an area where there's a sidewalk and you've got more people that might have actually been hit there than another area that doesn't have sidewalks. That could just be because there's more traffic in the area where there's sidewalks, and it could be because there's just way more people walking and they're crossing the street in areas where they're not supposed to be, and it kind of might create the illusion that more people are getting hit even though there are sidewalks there. So there's honestly not really any good way to tell how effective specific infrastructure is. That's one of the things I've been trying to look into and getting some of that data from SCDOT to figure that out, but I haven't been able to get it yet.
No, and just also, I guess, and also asking that because then there may also be learnings for us as we implement some of these things as well. So, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so this is a map that shows not only North Augusta's projects, but the projects throughout the Arts region. You can see the majority of the projects are actually clustered right around North Augusta. There's a lot of projects that North Augusta is going to benefit from, as well as Aiken, connecting Aiken to North Augusta. And you can see that long green line on that map there connecting North Augusta to Aiken. That's the shared east bike path that they're going to be putting in. All right. All right, so the next section is the downtown and riverfront. The biggest update from the 2017 comp plan was the completion of Riverside Village, which includes SRP Park, the hotel, the Ironwood Apartments, and the amphitheater. So updates were included to show that completed construction, and also suggestions for improvements to the downtown region and the connectivity between the Riverside Village and downtown. Since the 2017 plan, there has been a proposed project to connect the Riverside or to downtown along Bluff Avenue. So that would be a good way for individuals who maybe can't travel by vehicle, have to walk or rely on bicycling to get to downtown, or just individuals who want to exercise and stuff to utilize that as a way to do that and get from one place to another. All right, and that was pretty much it for our updates. So if you have any questions, I would love to hear them.
I thought this was interesting because I read all of this, and to me it was like where they work and the industries, and also a couple of places that, and I'm just trying to point out some things, like the continuation of the walking greenway through Woodstone. That was land was given to the city and purchased for the city from a group in town did that, and then an investor in town paid for some of that. So there is assistance with that. And then another thing downtown on the Bluff Avenue, I think that was also some assistance from a private organization. So we do have people that are really much interested in improving downtown. So I had written that, and I laughed at y'all before we got started, but downtown and riverfront, I had just put on my sheet money with big question marks for the downtown improvement, because we've been working on that for a long time, and I just wondered if we're making any headway with money.
And I know the city, I believe, from Libby's notes that she gave us before she left, that the city was working on a downtown master plan to sort of, are you familiar with that?
We are looking at doing a traffic study downtown as far as traffic calming and pedestrian movement. What can we do to make it more pedestrian friendly and transportation friendly and safer, and how to design the downtown area with more appeal, trees and that type of thing.
And the traffic counts, I looked at the traffic counts too for Georgia Avenue through there. They're pretty high, especially comparing that to other downtown areas. They're twice as high as what Aiken's downtown area is. Aiken's is about 10,000, and it's the 2019 traffic counts for Georgia Avenue through that section were 18,300, and it's been pretty it's consistently high.
And I noticed tonight, is North Augusta fall is the third Thursday, and the police now have got cars parked at each end of Georgia Avenue, and that seems to slow it down a little bit. And I think they are working on having a crosswalk at Pink Dipper.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. I've seen, reviewed a lot of the literature on different ways to try to slow down traffic and stuff. A lot of the literature is on work zone areas and stuff, though, but I mean, the same thing would probably work in a work zone as it would anywhere else. But having signs that show that there's cameras and stuff like that, those have shown to significantly reduce individuals from speeding, especially in an area where you've got a lot of people walking in the downtown and how much traffic there is. It makes it extremely dangerous. There also I think I might be wrong. I think I put it in the actual document, but well over 100 collisions at road, and they were primarily due to poor driving behavior, not necessarily anything with the infrastructure, but just people failing to yield right of way and being distracted. I want to say, because that data is available from the South Carolina Department of Public Safety.
Right.
And so you can look at each individual data point. They've got shape files that show each individual point where there was a collision, and you can click on that and pull it up and see the type of vehicle that was involved, whether or not a pedestrian was involved, the nature of the accident, and why the accident occurred. And a lot of it's just due to people not paying attention.
Right.
And
we had someone that came for the last time we did a comprehensive plan in downtown, and they sat down with us and talked to us, and one thing they suggested is the median in front of this building, if it had a tree in it, that it gives you an automatic slowdown in your brain.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they had talked about doing that, so.
There was, between 2016 and 2020, there was 154 collisions through there, right, just through the downtown part of Georgia Avenue, not the whole section. And 50% were due to drivers failing to yield right away and following too closely.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I can look into the literature more on that. It gets pretty complicated. I mean, it's really hard to know in different areas why people are getting into wrecks unless you're studying specifically that area and stuff like that. But there's been a lot of research to show what types of things can influence driver behavior to get them to slow down. And so, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me something maybe like a tree or something. But I don't know specifically about that, but there's so many different things that people have used to try to get people to slow down. I would look at the literature and try to figure out maybe what's most effective to see if there were any comparison studies with stuff like maybe a tree versus having a special sign or something. Even, the traffic signs that display your speed. You know what I'm talking about when you drive by it? Those are more effective than just an actual speed limit sign, but they're not as effective. They weren't as effective as having something saying you might potentially be caught on camera if you're speeding through there. But it's crazy, though, even with those types of, things trying to mitigate speed, and people still drive fast through there. And, I mean, it might only reduce the speed. In the particular study that I'm referencing, the speed limit was 35, and people were still driving 50 miles per hour through there, and it would only reduce their speed by about 5 miles per hour. So I don't know if there's any perfect solution, to getting people to slow down with something like that. But
You probably know more than I do about this, but at Pink Dipper crossing over, they did a little strip that they drew it, and now I think they're working on making it a speed.
okay.
I think right now, as far as I know, we have $50,000 in the budget this year to do a study on downtown traffic calming, and pedestrian safety. To contract that out, have somebody come in, survey it, and give us their recommendations, and then we'd move forward to implement those recommendations. It's a $50,000. The arts is will pay us back 80% of that. That's fundings already locked up, through the state, using state transportation funds. So I've just sent off the last thing that, or hopefully it's the last thing that DOT wants, before they'll give us to go ahead and actually start issuing the RFP and moving forward with that project. But there are basically 3 projects that are on my to-do list between now and the end of the year. One is the development code rewrite, one is the comprehensive plan update, and the other one is the traffic calming study downtown. So it's on the high priority side of things.
That's good to know, 'cause it needs to slow down.
Yeah. Any other questions? That's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for
Great, thank you so much, Eric. We appreciate you coming. All right, so the next part, is there anything else you had, Tommy, for us, or you wanted to go over the downtown Riverfront?
It,
Is there anything else?
Yep. Went over to downtown and the riverfront plan.
We had that.
Is there?
Okay, so far we just talked about.
A lot of this stuff is still the same from the previous comprehensive plan. We're just following schematics of proposed improvements to suggestions for maintaining, trying to leverage money maybe to try to invest in a lot of the buildings downtown. Find parcels that might continue, might be too small for development, maybe combine those 2 parcels together. Have it ready for development, so that way it's more of an incentive than somebody just having to throw all that money.
So, I don't know if you know the answer to this, or Tommy does. Do we still have the $5,000 that goes to a company if they do something to the facade of their building?
We still had the facade grant, and there has been some people reach out to me since I've been here.
Okay.
But that is still active, ongoing, and funded.
Okay, 'cause I talked to somebody about that today and told them they needed to call me.
Thank you, because the question slide before that part through, so I think we were just asking questions on that.
Sorry.
Stuff before. So, but thank you for calling that out, because I thought that that was a really important point to think about, because I had not thought about how we have a lot of smaller parcels and how that would not be as
Yeah.
attractive to developers and
'Cause I think
challenging us to think
a
about.
lot of the development in downtown, I mean, was originally residential,
Yeah.
and then was converted to have more commercial properties and stuff like that. So I think a lot of the parcels down there still are smaller, might be more suitable for a house rather than somebody building a commercial facility.
Yeah, but that, I think that is, and I've heard, I'm sure you have, the conversations around developing the riverfront and why we develop other areas. I think that piece of it and the parcels being smaller and having to think about it and challenging to combine them and making larger parcels is a really important part of that conversation, and is something that I think most of us don't think about as even potentially a barrier to the development of downtown. So thank you. All right, any other questions? Completely this time? All right. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Every. All right. Are there any questions for Tommy for the agenda? Tommy, what we do need him to do is this screen goes in and out, and it is more aggravating than it being out completely.
I will tell you, that there's a request for proposals going out, to upgrade this system
Okay.
and to fix it, both the audio and the visual. So hopefully within a few months that will be fixed. I can tell you, that staff feels your pain in that, not only does the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals have this issue, but council does as well. So we're spreading the love.
Okay, so this is not a one-off. This is a
No,
chronic.
this is a system problem.
Okay. We just seem particularly bad tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. And, thank you all. We'll adjourn the study session, and we will have enough members from Planning Commission to have a quorum
Timothy Key.
Bob Bigger.
Joanne Mackey.
Bob Clark.
And I just. So if you could, start out with the approval of the minutes, everyone had a chance to look at July 15th, regular meeting minutes.
So move.
Motion, do I have a second? All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes? All opposed? Mr. Paradise, do we, have any changes to the agenda? All right, so we'll get started. We have application RZM 21-002, the request by SH Enterprises to rezone 7 acres of Commercial Road from industrial to thoroughfare commercial.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chairman. This is a, application to rezone an existing parcel behind, I call it the old, Toyota, dealership on Jefferson Davis Highway. As you see here, the access to this, parcel right now is off of Revco Road, and it is zoned industrial. The overall plan for this parcel is to combine it with the existing parcel of the car lot and construct a new car lot there, a new car dealership. This parcel is about 7 acres and change. One of the things in looking at this application that I was a little concerned about is the city giving up its industrial property? Because we all know that industrial brings more to the city than any other tax base. I reached out to Will Williams. He's president and CEO of the Economic Development Partnership as to this particular parcel and what he felt about it. And basically, he didn't see a problem with the rezoning and the loss of the industrial zoning and having it to rezone to thoroughfare because of the size of the lot itself would be very difficult. Being only 7 acres, it's a small lot to be used for industrial purposes. So you see where the lot is. The current zoning, as I was talking about, as you see there is industrial. The front parcel facing Jefferson Davis Highway is zoned thoroughfare commercial, and they would like to get this rezoned so they could combine the two lots. And this just gives you the future land use, shows that the future land use for that parcel is industrial, but there again, the future land use to use that for an industrial purpose would be difficult after talking to Mr. Williams. It goes into the commercial segment, and you can see surrounding it is other car dealerships, and it really fits in with what's becoming, I guess, the motor mile in North Augusta. And then the topography map there is fairly level. This is not a good reproduction, but it is the best we could do with the scan. These ways I did get this one in the right direction. But this is current survey that they would file after it's rezoned, showing that the two parcels would be combined with that land hook there. This is another even less attractive copy, showing kind of a concept of what will be laid out there, and the dealership. And if you could see this real well, you would see some pavement on this lot that's to be rezoned, and the biggest thing I think is the detention pond would be on this lot as well. And Mr. Buchanan is the applicant. I don't see Mr. Buchanan. But that's the synopsis of the application.
All right. Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Paradise from the commissioner?
Is the detention pond gonna be on the new 7 acres? I mean, back
Yes, sir.
traditional, proposed traditional, detention pond?
Yes, sir. And all I know about the site plan right now is what I saw on their diagrams.
All right. Is there a representative from the applicant, SNH Enterprises, or a representative? Oh, okay. All right. If there are there any other questions or discussion? Commissioner?
I think they were creating, like you said, the motor mile. I mean, that's what's out there, so I didn't see.
You're basically removing a building that's dilapidated and underused, and we'll be replacing it with a new building.
So then do I have a motion to approve this request?
I'll make a motion. Gotta worry, paper.
It's, just keep my, agenda. So it is,
Approval of application PPN 013-20-03-004 from industrial to thoroughfare commercial.
yes.
Are we supposed to go through the formality of a public hearing?
Oh, was there anybody, I'm sorry, thank you for catching that. Was there any public, was there any,
Any call forward?
yeah, I'm sorry, thank you. Thank you for catching this, Kate. Are there any comments from the public with regards to this application? Okay, there being none, then we'll close the public hearing portion. Thank you. All right, so we have a motion on, floor by Commissioner Clark. Do I have a second?
Second?
All right. Having been moved and seconded, all those in favor of application RZM 21-002, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. All right. Next, we have application SP 21-005, which is the Mealing Tract Sketch Plan Review, and this is a request for preliminary review of concept plans for TPN 007-16-0301, consisting of 43.5 acres of land, which is commonly referred to as the Mealing Tract between East Point of Vista and East Martintown Road. All right, Ms. Paradise, do you have anything that you'd like to share with us about this?
Yes, ma'am. This is, gives you an aerial view of the 43 acres and change. It is currently zoned planned development. The applicant that's here for the sketch plan is only concerned at this time with that area between East Buena Vista and East Martintown Road. That is on the other side of East Buena Vista. They'll address that at another time. So that's the focus on the sketch plan tonight, is that particular area. All righty.
Are there any questions for
And it has frozen up on me. future use plan shows it as planned development, and this gives you a topo of it. There is on I guess the northern side of the property is a drainage easement that there's been some discussion about. And this is a better view of the actual track with how they have the different items laid out on it. And this is where, Madam Chairman, I'd like to let the applicant come up and kind of take y'all through on what they're proposing and let y'all give them y'all's feedback. Mr. Dean?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Robert Wright. I am representing the group that has the property under contract, Realty Link. We have representatives from Realty Link, from our engineering firm. Mr. Mealing is here, the property owner, as well as his attorney. So any of us can answer questions you might have. Again, as Tommy's pointed out, we wanted to focus on the northern tract that shows the mixed-use property with some potential multifamily use, senior living, potential grocery store, and then some single-family housing, as well as open space with the parks and the stormwater detention. We intend to carry a spine road through the property from East Martintown down to East Buena Vista, and are intending to have some sort of sidewalk trail system throughout the property that would ultimately connect through the southern tract, which we're not focusing on tonight, that would hopefully connect with the greenway there by the golf course. So that's just basically the overview of what we're hoping to do. We do, as Tommy said, need to work out some issues with the city on this drainage easement and some repair work that was supposed to have been done several years ago that has not been completed, and we are attempting to work with the city on that right now. So I guess with that, I would just ask you if you have any questions or any feedback for us as you've reviewed this, because we're trying to get this just in front of you to get your thoughts and ideas on how we should proceed.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from your, the applicant that would like to speak, or? Okay. All right. Well, if, certainly can call them up if, based on the commissioner's questions.
Yeah.
If we have any. All right, commissioners, do you all have any questions for Mr. Wright?
Yes, are we talking about as far as senior homes and height?
We haven't identified who's going to come in there yet, and we haven't identified what the market study would be for really any of these uses, but in keeping with other developments that we've done around the southeast, they would certainly be something would meet the market and would fit into the community.
Those green areas, that's your green space?
Yes, sir.
That's a lot of green space.
Well, we have a requirement with the plan development ordinance, as well as, our desire to provide green space throughout the community. So, yeah.
What are you all thinking, targeted price point on your townhomes, just to get an idea of the?
Yeah, again, I'm not sure that we've gotten that far yet in terms of, what the market might be, but again, in keeping with, what's going on around it and trying to meet the market where it is, we'll just have to see where that goes. I'm not intending to be vague, it's just at this early stage we don't know yet.
Yeah, no, we oftentimes ask that as part of our charge is also, though, making sure that we talk about affordable housing and what is available in our community. And so we oftentimes ask about price point, trying
Sure.
to get a feel for
Sure.
what the implications are, either in terms of either offering affordable housing and or to affordable housing that may be adjacent to or surrounding it. For me in particular, because it does back up right against Metz Drive.
Uh-huh.
And so for the citizens that are living there, what are the implications?
Yeah, we're very aware of the school and the other communities adjacent to the project and trying to, you know, find something that works for everybody will be our intent. So it's helpful to get the feedback, and I think as we come with more detailed layouts and more information about the market, then we'll all be able to understand that much better.
When reading it, I felt, I think it's a good idea, the mixed use. The land just sitting there, I mean, it's in the, in a very good location. You think, what's coming next? So, I'm all in favor. I wish we had a little bit better, design.
Sure.
Rendition, but, I'm overall, I mean, I'm pleased that someone would even tackle it.
I think it's great for you that you have access to two main roads. And, I rode by there and you can see where you cut in on East Buena Vista and it's been sitting there for a long time.
Yeah, we're excited about the location and the opportunity. We think it's a good next step, as you said, from what's been going on above it in development.
Did you have any, specific questions that you might want to ask of us, the do's and don'ts, or what?
Unless anybody on our team does, I don't. Particularly, we're glad we had this sketch plan review step that we could take so that we could at least get it in front of you and get you thinking about it. And if you have any questions or comments to give us through Tommy, we'd be happy to, you know, respond to those. And I think as we have questions, as we get more into the details of the engineering, you know, we're doing our due diligence right now. We've got geotech work being done right now, trying to determine how this drainage issue is going to impact the property is very, very important, of course. And then just moving ahead with our market studies.
About 5 or 6 years ago, when we started really moving toward more mixed use, remember how the pushback we got? And my mom being one of the she's a senior now, but pushback as to mixed use, and I would always tell her, you're gonna love it. And so she stays in town. And when I grew up, it was kind of residential. We didn't have shopping centers, and then, you know, a lot of the shopping centers. And I said, my church is right down the street. And I said, you're gonna love it. And she said, no, people can see. And then you got the grocery store, and then you got her medical facility right across the street, and then her dentist was right there, and then the grocery store. And you know, when you get older, then it ain't like you want to get in your car and drive 20 minutes to the grocery store. So she absolutely loved it. And also where the attached townhomes were, where they were building the Home Depot, and they were saying how it's going to affect the property, it's going to kill our property. It hadn't missed a beat. So everywhere I go, I look at a lot of the larger city, and they've got the mixed use, and it's if the design is good, it makes for pretty good living. So I got thumbs up, other than seeing the design.
And you plan to do, I'm assuming, in phases, so then this piece would be phase one, and then after, at some point during its completion, they're going on to the southern portion?
That's right.
Commissioner Fowler? All right. Mr. Biggs?
No questions at this time.
Okay. All right. It's just a site review, so we don't have to.
Oh, okay. I got no problems with it at all.
Okay.
That's a great idea.
All right. So we are looking forward to hearing more from you all as you progress further.
Very good. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you. All right.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, I need to respond to them within 10 days with any recommendations that y'all may have or suggestions. Everything that I've heard has been positive, and is there any suggestions that I should convey to them from the commission? Other than keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, and just more, I guess, it's kind of hard to have suggestions when we didn't have as much detailed information around density, around even price points. So I think, we clearly may be more vocal and we have more information. But
Okay.
with the information that we have thus far, I think
And we were speaking about affordability, if they could squeeze in some affordability. Every project we've tried in the city based on, trying to get a little affordability based on construction costs and everything, it's just almost virtually impossible,
Yeah,
to, get any affordability in it. So if they've got some ideas how they can squeeze some lower cost units in there, that would be spectacular, but I understand the reality of it.
Yeah, but then also the connectivity, so the connectivity, I think, is from the two main roads,
Mhm.
but to Metz Drive, and that being a part of the neighborhood as well, and so how do they envision, making sure, I mean, he alluded to it in terms of making sure that it was good with the entire community, but I think maybe a little more detail around that would be would be helpful.
they also had said that they could only have 24 units per gross acre. Does any of this not fit that?
Well, you would look at the 43 acres,
Right.
and then 24 units times 43 is a lot. I have not done the math on that.
Okay, I just wondered, because some of it looks tighter and looser and, you know,
And that's basically what you're doing, is you're designing it tight over here, and then you have a lot of green space over
right.
here.
And they've got a ton of green space.
And that does two things, is, you know, it tightens things up, but all of your infrastructure is tighter too. So there's less cost to the developer in the beginning, probably, but also as the city needs to maintain the infrastructure going forward, it's all in a small area, so there you don't have as much cost associated with it.
Well, for the last, 5 years or so, what we keep hearing is these younger people don't want a great big old lot with a house and trees.
And
They want a lot just big enough to put the house on, and then a place nearby they can walk their dogs. And take a, but they don't want it to be their yard, and this is
This fits
fulfills
that.
that purpose. I would think they'd sell it in a hurry.
And I'm sure they're aware of the sidewalking.
All right, so if there are no other suggestions to be passed on, Mr. Paradise, when you get to staff report, then we can.
Yes, Madam Chairman, this is included in the agenda is the staff report for the month of July 21. We've been busy, and I wished I could have gone through this a little bit in more detail and was prepared to give a report. I can tell you we've been moving forward, and we've been learning a lot, me and Ms. Stacy. We do have a temporary secretary now that's helping free up Stacy, and we are moving forward, waiting on Cully to come back so we can find out how it was supposed to have been done. Middle to late September.
If there are no other questions or concerns, thank you again for you and Stacia and holding it together so very quickly with all of this newness. And again, thank you for your feedback, commissioners. And we've asked that maybe we do an email on the packet next time if the attachments aren't too big. So I may follow up with that and see if we can find a solution that kind of works for everyone. But there being no other business, if I can have a motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
Second? All right, so, hearing no opposition to that. We are adjourned, and we'll see you all next month.